Before Life Recovery Ministries, I was a hopeless junkie. I grew up a good kid, taught to love the outdoors and be kind and gentle as a kid. Really early on, there were some things that started happening in my life. Just growing up without a dad, some people had done some pretty wrong things to me at a young age, and it caused hardness in me that didn't allow me to trust or connect with anyone for almost the rest of my childhood, the rest of my adolescence, the rest of the years that you're supposed to enjoy and grow in. I remember as a kid being alone, feeling like I couldn't trust anyone in the world, not even the people that I called family. And I remember feeling that way for years, and just always trying to be accepted and fit into groups of people that I knew I didn't belong. I always felt like an outcast. Like if people knew the real me, that they would hate me. At a real young age, I started partying, I guess is what I called it then. I would steal cigarettes from my mom or from my friends' parents, and it wasn't very long after that where we started moving into harder stuff. I remember the day that my lifestyle became who I was. I remember that the only way that I felt that I could fit in, the only way that I could look at myself was if I was numb. I began using anything I could get my hands on, and I graduated just progressively into intravenous drug use, where I soon became a heavy opiate addict, where that was my whole life. There was nothing else that I could do. My life centered around it. And once again, I found myself in that lonely spot where I didn't even know that there was help out there. I knew that one day that my addiction would take me, and I never had the courage to raise up and ask for help. I never had the courage to say, look, this is me and I'm weak, or this is me and I need help. I had accepted that one day I would die by the needle. I remember one day in my addiction where I was driving in the Bay Area, and I was working. I was trying to function as an addict, and I remember coming over this hill on getting ready to cross the Bay Bridge, or the Golden Gate Bridge, and I remember it was like the most postcard day. I remember you could see the clouds over the bay, and you could see the top of the Golden Gate Bridge shining up in the sun, and I was above the cloud line, and just waiting to get on the bridge, waiting to go through the toll. And I remember how, as a younger boy, I would have loved that. I would have thought that was the most beautiful thing. And I remember that day thinking in that truck that I just wanted to die. That I actually just wanted to drive off that bridge or just get out and jump. I didn't want to be that way anymore. And I felt like I had no way out. Life Recovery Ministries, it was great twice. I had to go through it twice. The first time it was a program for me. It wasn't from a point of I'm so sick and tired of failing. I'm so sick and tired of being numb or hating myself. It was a pressure for me at first from the court system to avoid a long prison sentence because of the life I had been living. I did the program. I worked hard. I worked so hard at it. I did all that was required and more. I worked the steps. I had a sponsor. I went to all the meetings. I went to church. I looked the look and acted the part. I graduated. I graduated very successfully. And a short time later, I was married, and I was still in recovery. And it took a series of thoughts, a series of small events in my life, of me moving away, not moving away, but of me kind of exiting my support system. In just a few days, a few circumstances in my life, I threw 5 years of sobriety away. Mind you, in those 5 years, I had become a newlywed to a girl who knew my past. She knew what my past looked like, and I threw it all away in less than 20 seconds. Less than 20 seconds, I decided that my pain, my lack of being able to fully surrender my life to anything, I decided that was going to rule my life. And within 20 seconds, I had a needle in my arm at work, and I threw it all away again. And I was right back to where I was as a kid, right back to where I was on the Golden Gate Bridge that day. I knew that it was time. After my relapse, I ended up at my sponsor's house in Redding, California, and I knew that it was a time of reckoning for me. It was time to do this or die. It was time to get it right. And my wife was at home with a broken heart. I had broken so many hearts during my relapse. And I remember being so open to pain and all this raw emotion that had come to me. And I remember when Jesus met me up there, I remember looking at my life and absolutely hating the man that I saw. And I remember one night, it was a hot night. I remember I could hear the traffic outside. I could hear the wind in the trees. And I remember becoming so desperate. I remember hitting my knees on this hardwood floor and just burying my face in this bed where I had been detoxing. And I remember I could smell the sweat, and I could smell the detox and the chemicals that I had sweated out. And I remember just crying out to Jesus. I remember crying out to him and just telling him I'm so tired. So tired. I felt like a 90-year-old man trying to fight for his life. I had no energy, no hope. I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. I knew that even if I got clean, that it wasn't enough. I knew it was finally time to surrender. I was accepted back in the Life Recovery Ministries. Now with a family, a wife, and friends who knew me, who saw me for those first few years and loved me through it. But also friends and a family that weren't going to let me repeat that. And it was almost like a boot camp training for me. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Well, only because I chose that way. Only because I chose that I was going to live my life in full surrender. And I was going to do exactly what I was told. And I was going to put trust in people who saw something in me that I could never see from a young age. And I chose to trust. And I chose to follow. I chose to do exactly what I was going to do. And I didn't always, it wasn't easy. I didn't always want to do it. I still had inner rebellion. I still had thoughts where I knew better, or maybe this wasn't for me. But then I remember those days. I remember those days where I would find myself kicking heroin, or I would find myself stealing so I could get a fix, or find myself on that Golden Gate Bridge, or I have all these sequences of days that I remember to this day where if I start moving astray in any way, I think back to those days and think how thankful I am that when I threw my arms up in surrender that Jesus met me there and gave me hope. Today I have that hope. Today I live that hope every day. My marriage is restored. My wife trusts me. There's people that trust me today. When I look in that mirror, I see a man who I knew I always wanted to be from a young boy. Just a good, trustworthy man that could look people in the eye, that would have a good word, that could be trusted to do this or that, or be trusted with other people's property or anything like that. I just go down the list, and I'm so thankful. I'm expecting my first baby, my baby daughter. I never dreamed my whole life that I would ever be a father. And I know I believed my whole life that I would never be a good one. And today I look at my wife and my baby daughter, Remy, and I just thank Jesus that he met me there in that surrender. And that by the foundation that Life Recovery Ministries helped me build on, and the people and the family and the truth, that I'm able to look at my wife and baby and know that I'm a good dad, know that I'm going to be an honorable man.